Imagine being born 40,000 years ago. No locked doors, no warm bedroom, no hospital walls, no electric light pushing back the night. Your first world is not a nursery. It is a circle of smoke, stone, animal skins, human voices, and darkness pressing in from every side. Beyond the firelight, something is always moving. A hyena waits where the grass becomes black. A wolf listens from behind the trees. A bear may pass near the cave mouth. A leopard may watch from above, silent enough to seem like part of the night itself. To us, this world feels impossible for a child. But for ancient humans, this was not a nightmare. This was home. So how did a baby survive in a world where predators did not need to break through walls because there were no walls? How did parents protect children before houses, fences, alarms, or modern weapons existed? The answer is more powerful than a spear, older than a village, and deeper than fear. Ancient children survived because they were almost never truly alone. Around each child, the group formed something invisible but incredibly strong. A living shield. A mother's arms, a father's watchful eyes, an elder's wisdom, older children playing nearby, fire glowing in the center, and every human voice becoming part of one great warning system. Before humans built fortresses out of stone, they built them out of each other. For an ancient baby, danger began the moment distance appeared. A newborn human is one of the most helpless creatures in nature. It cannot run. It cannot climb away from danger. It cannot understand the meaning of a strange sound in the grass. It cannot stay quiet when fear, hunger, or cold takes over. Its cry, so small and human to the people who love it, could also travel into the dark. That is why the first rule of survival was simple. Keep the child close. A baby was not placed far away in a separate room. It was carried against the body, wrapped in skins or held in arms, pressed close to warmth, heartbeat, and breath. The safest place in the ancient world was not a cave, not a tree, not even the fire. It was the body of another human being. When the group moved, the child moved with them. When adults gathered food, prepared tools, or watched the horizon, someone remained near the young. A mother might nurse the baby, but she was not the only wall between life and death. A grandmother could hold the child while food was prepared. An older sibling could keep watch while playing nearby. A father or another adult could stand at the edge of camp, listening for sounds that did not belong. This closeness was not only tenderness, it was strategy. Predators usually look for separation. They watch for the weak one at the edge, the young one left behind, the body that has drifted too far from the group. Ancient humans understood this without needing science. They knew that a child outside the circle was a child in danger, so the child stayed inside the circle. Inside the circle were smells predators did not like. Smoke from fire, the noise of tools striking stone, laughter, footsteps, coughing, conversation, and the restless movement of human life. Inside the circle were many eyes, not just two. Inside the circle, even a small cry could be answered quickly by a hand, a voice, a breast, or a warning glance. This is what made ancient childhood so different from what we imagine. It was not quiet. It was not private. It was surrounded. A child grew up hearing adults breathe in the dark, feeling bodies shift nearby, sensing the warmth of others before it understood who they were. Safety was not a place. Safety was closeness. Safety was being held. Safety was belonging to a group that noticed when you moved, cried, stumbled, or disappeared from view. And this may be one of the oldest truths of human life. Before a child learns to speak, before it learns to walk, before it learns the names of animals, trees, or stars, it learns the feeling of being protected by other people. In the ancient world, a child's life began with one law: never let the darkness find it alone. But closeness alone was not enough. A mother could carry a baby, but she also had to eat. She had to gather plants, prepare food, move with the group, sleep, recover, and survive. A father could protect, but he could not watch every shadow at every moment. In a world full of danger, one pair of arms was never enough. So ancient humans developed something extraordinary. They did not raise children as isolated parents, they raised them as a community. A child belonged first to its mother, but in daily life, it was also held by many others. An older sister might carry the baby for a while. A grandmother might calm it when it cried. A young boy might keep a toddler from wandering too far. Another woman in the group might pick up the child while the mother worked. Around the baby, care moved from person to person, like fire passing from one branch to another. This was not weakness. This was one of humanity's greatest strengths. Because every caregiver became another layer of protection. Every adult added another pair of eyes. Every older child added another warning. Every elder added memory, the knowledge of where predators had appeared before, which paths were dangerous, which sounds meant nothing, and which sounds meant everyone should stand up at once. For a predator, a child alone is opportunity, but a child in the middle of a human group is a very different target. Imagine a camp at dusk. The fire is low but alive. A baby sleeps against someone's chest. Two children sit nearby, copying the adults by tapping small stones together. An old woman watches them while chewing slowly. A man sharpens a point. Another adult looks toward the trees, not staring, but listening. Then, something changes. A branch cracks outside the ordinary rhythm of the forest. One person hears it, then another. No one needs a speech. The group understands. The child is pulled closer. The small children are gathered inward. Adults shift their bodies toward the sound. Voices rise. Fire is stirred. A burning branch may be lifted. Stones may be picked up. Spears may point outward. The group becomes larger than it looked a moment before. This was the power predators had to face. Ancient humans were not the strongest animals on the landscape. They did not have claws like cats, teeth like wolves, or the size of bears. But they had something many predators could not easily overcome: coordinated attention. They could notice together, move together, shout together, defend together, and most importantly, they could protect the vulnerable together. This is why the ancient camp itself became a kind of living fortress. There may have been no walls, but there were bodies. There may have been no gate, but there was awareness. There may have been no alarm, but there were human ears trained by danger and human voices ready to turn fear into sound. For children, this meant survival was not carried by one person alone. It was distributed across the group. A baby could sleep because others stayed awake. A toddler could play because older children watched the edge of the play area. A mother could rest because someone else could hold the child. An elder who no longer hunted as far could still protect the future by watching the young. In that world, love was not soft or decorative. Love was practical. Love was alert. Love knew the direction of the wind, the meaning of silence, and the danger of a child wandering too close to the shadows. Before humans built villages, before laws, before written language, before kingdoms, there was this older agreement. The young must be kept near the center, and around that center, the people stood. But there was one moment when even the strongest group became more vulnerable. Night. During the day, humans could read the land. They could see tracks in mud, broken grass, circling birds, or movement between trees. They could choose paths, avoid thick cover, and keep children away from places where danger might hide. But when the sun dropped, the world changed. Distance disappeared. Shapes became uncertain. A harmless sound could become terrifying, and a real threat could come close before anyone saw it. For ancient children, night was the great test. This is where fire became one of humanity's most important shields. Fire did more than warm the body. It created a boundary. On one side of the flame was the human world. Faces, hands, food, voices, sleeping children, stories, and memory. On the other side was the unknown. Moving grass, watching eyes, cold air, and predators that preferred darkness. A child sleeping near the fire was not only warmer, it was visible. Adults could see if it stirred, cried, crawled, or wandered. The group could gather around one center instead of spreading into the dark. Smoke, light, heat, and noise made the camp feel occupied, alive, and dangerous to approach. To a predator, fire was strange. It moved without being alive. It burned without a body. It cracked, flashed, smoked, and turned the faces of humans into something larger and more frightening. Many predators would rather avoid that uncertainty than step into it. So the fire became a wall made of light. Around it, ancient families created the first safe nights. Children slept between adults. Infants were held close. Toddlers were kept away from the edges. Someone might wake when the fire grew weak. Someone might feed it. Someone might listen when the dogs of a later age, or the human ears of an earlier age, caught a sound beyond the glow. But fire alone was not enough. Ancient humans also had to choose where to sleep. A good camp was a decision that could save a child's life. Too close to water, and the group might meet the animals that came to drink. Too deep in thick forest, and danger could approach unseen. Too exposed, and wind, cold, or enemies could become a threat. A cave might seem perfect, but caves were not made for humans alone. Bears, hyenas, and other animals also used them. A shelter was only safe if people could control it, watch its entrance, and leave if they had to. So, ancient humans learned the landscape like a language. A raised place offered a view. A rock wall protected one side. An open clearing made it harder for something to sneak close. A cave mouth could be guarded. A camp near useful resources, but not directly on a predator path, gave the group a better chance. These choices were not random. They were survival knowledge passed from older eyes to younger ones. And in the middle of these places, children learned what safety looked like. Safety looked like sleeping near the center. Safety looked like firelight on stone. Safety looked like adults facing outward while children rested inward. Safety sounded like quiet voices in the dark, the crack of burning wood, and the sudden silence that made everyone listen. That silence mattered. Because protecting children was not only about fighting predators, it was about noticing danger before danger became attack. It was about knowing when the night had changed. When insects stopped, when birds burst from trees, when a smell came on the wind, when the forest held its breath. In the modern world, we think of walls as protection. But for ancient humans, protection was attention. And at night, attention gathered around fire. For thousands upon thousands of years, the flame became the place where human childhood could survive the dark. It did not remove danger from the world. Nothing could. But it gave the child a center. It gave the group a signal. It gave the night a boundary. Outside the fire, the predators still moved. Inside the firelight, humanity held its children close. As children grew, protection slowly changed. At first, a baby survived by being carried. Then it survived by being watched. But eventually, it had to begin learning the rules of the world for itself. Ancient humans could not protect children by hiding them from nature forever. Nature was where food came from. It was where water was found, where tools were made, where paths were followed, where danger lived, and where life had to be understood. So children learned early. They learned not from classrooms, but from footsteps. They followed adults through grass, across stone, along riverbanks, and into open places where the group searched for food. They watched which plants were touched and which were avoided. They saw how adults stopped when a sound was wrong. They noticed how everyone became quiet near fresh tracks. They learned that some animals could be ignored, some should be respected, and some meant they must move closer to the group immediately. To us, a child throwing stones may look like play. To the ancient world, it was practice. A child chasing another child may look like a game. But it also trained speed, balance, awareness, and reaction. A child pretending to hunt may look like imagination, but imagination was one of the first steps toward survival. Play was not separate from learning. Play was the school of the Stone Age. Older children also became part of the protection system. They watched younger ones. They copied adults. They warned each other. They learned where the edge of the camp was, and why crossing it alone was dangerous. A child who had once been carried now helped keep another child from wandering too far. In this way, protection passed from generation to generation, not only through words, but through habits. A warning glance, a hand pulling a toddler back, a quiet command near the trees, a story told beside the fire about the animal that waits in the dark. These were lessons children remembered. Later in human history, another guardian joined the circle, the dog. Long before cities and farms, early dogs may have lived near human camps, drawn by food, warmth, and partnership. Their ears and noses could sense things humans missed. A dog lifting its head in the night, growling softly toward the dark, could give the group precious seconds. And sometimes, a few seconds were enough to pull children close, raise the fire, and prepare. But even dogs were not the true secret. The real secret was memory. Ancient humans survived because they carried yesterday into tomorrow. They remembered where a predator had appeared. They remembered which season made animals desperate. They remembered which caves were safe, which trails were dangerous, which sounds meant nothing, and which sounds meant everyone must move. And they gave that memory to their children. This is what makes the story so moving. Ancient parents were not only trying to keep their children alive for one night, they were trying to teach them how to survive every night after that. Every warning, every journey, every moment beside the fire was part of a larger inheritance. Today, we protect children with locked doors, bright lights, schools, hospitals, cameras, and phones. But beneath all of that technology, the oldest form of protection has not disappeared. A child still needs to be noticed. A child still needs to be held close. A child still needs people who listen when something feels wrong. A child still needs a circle. 40,000 years ago, that circle was made of smoke, stone, firelight, and human bodies, standing between the young and the dark. It was not perfect. It could not stop every danger. But it was powerful enough to carry humanity through a world filled with predators larger, faster, and stronger than us. Before humans became builders of cities, makers of myths, explorers of oceans, and dreamers of stars, we became something more basic and more beautiful. We became the species that gathered around its children, and when the darkness moved closer, we did not leave them behind. We stood in a circle and faced the night together.